Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about art and self-awareness. I'm delighted to welcome special guest Michaell Magrutsche. Michaell is an Austria-born multimedia artist, educator, coach, podcaster, and the author of 5 art-related books. You can reach Michaell at his website, michaellm.com, and I'll include a link in the description. Welcome, Michaell. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
MichaellM with .com with 2 L's.
Yes,
because,
and that does
because people
matter.
think it's Michaell. It's Michaell M. Michaell with 2 L's.
With 2 L's. And is that an Austrian spelling?
No, that's my artist spelling. That's my art.
Okay,
Michaell
so
is
with the extra L.
Who is with 2 L's? Only me. I'm special. No, I'm not.
That is awesome. Well, I checked out your website and I was just delighted to hear you talking about the idea of using art as a form of self-discovery and of self-awareness. And you believe that this is the best way to do it. So I would love to hear your story and how you have used this wonderful tool to help figure out who you are.
Okay. So first you got to say there's 2 art. There's art that we all believe that art is, and we talk in society and everywhere. And that's the art business. That's like talking about it's based on economy. And then there is what kids do, and some adults still like me, that create art. And the magic and the inherent superpower of humans is in the creation of art. So the art creating is the powerful stuff. It's where you self-discover yourself. When you look at art, you have also a lot of wisdom and knowledge coming to you by being reminded or by triggering certain things. But the real power stuff is the creating. As you know, creating your podcast, we create all day long. We're just not conscious. We think we have to do it to not be left behind. So we all do and do and do, and we're not really milking the creation process.
Ooh.
It's like when I talk to you right now, I'm milking that process. I'm milking being with you. I'm not worrying about, is one listener listen to this? 200,000 listeners listen to this? I don't care, because that's just the icing on the cake. I've learned that through art. You gotta milk the process. And just be totally aware and say, oh my God, what is God or whatever the energy giving? Why does it say green? And then you do something green. And and you just start playing with that essential creation energy. And that makes you unbelievable self-aware. Because if you just create for the market, you would just do like a bicycle. Say, okay, I got a new bicycle. I think it's a little bit different, but it's a bicycle. But if you create art, there's no explanation to it, and you create, and this interaction of how am I gonna bring that inspiration of what comes in, I wanted to do always a big painting. And what am I gonna be on that day? And one day you think, oh, I know it's red. And then you're going to paint red, and it will come. And so you interact. It's not like the system says you have to have a red painting. No, the system says you've got to have certain business attire. The system says you don't think about this, because you have to create something from conception to physical. And that's the magic. I mean, just saying the words is magic. I have an idea, and I bring the idea from an idea of something intangible to the physicalness. And the awareness of this is it. Because once you know it from art, you know it from creating a bicycle or doing anything else. And because you learn how to manifest in this world, and it's not a preconceived notion. That's like, this is how God has to look like. This is how my success has to look like. You just create. And I feel a lot of people are intimidated by artists because they feel, I found a lot of people that are non-artists, they say, I'm not an artist, I'm just a businessman. I said, if you are not an artist, if you're not creative, you couldn't be a good businessman. You couldn't be successful. And they're completely separate from that energy. And they are also jealous. And jealousy is, as you know, a reflection of what I can have, what I actually can have, because you're not jealous at everyone that has a Mercedes. You're just jealous at that person having a Mercedes, but not at everybody, you know? So you know you can have that. You know, that's like psychology 101. So, but with art it is such a, when you milk the process and you really focus, like right now, I'm focusing on you, and I'm just enjoying this, because this is all the moment we have, right? Because we don't know in 5 minutes, you know, something else can happen, or whatever was, it's not going to be what is. And this is the only focus on moments that we have. It's not the only moment we have, but the focus of our time span is right now. And if you don't enjoy that time span right now, the future is going to be tainted by, we had a horrible time right now.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter what it looks in the system, how successful you are in the system in society. It's how much you are in the now, how much you appreciate the now.
Wow.
And that's what what art teaches you. Art teaches you, because it doesn't say, see, art also the system tries to do and say, paint a bird, do this, you know, paint a house, do this. No, the real thing of art, the real energy of art, just go and get in that feeling of the energy of art. It doesn't ask you to be successful. It doesn't ask you to have $1 million sales for a painting. It doesn't do anything of that. It just wants to be created and exposed. It's because I'm not inventing what art does. I'm just showing what is, and people are just not aware of it.
Wow.
So
let's go back and see if we can unpack all this, because there's a lot of information and a lot of things that you're going through. And as I'm trying to be able to understand so that we can be talking on the same page. So when I'm hearing you discuss about art, and then you discuss about that creative process, that's something that comes from within, that has not a preconceived, maybe even an end in mind. It is just simply the process of creating and of being. And I love the way that you describe things. It sounds very much like a state of mindfulness, a state of being in the present moment. And you described a painting where you said, I'm not even sure what this is going to be, but what I'm feeling right now is I need this color. This color is what is speaking to me, what wants to come out. And as you use the word art and that creativity as kind of the same, that it is one and the same. As far as you're concerned, when you use the word art, you are meaning that this beautiful creative expression, and it's not even just in the expression, it is that act, the process, that you are enjoying the process of doing and of becoming. And I love that you're able to separate that in a couple of different ways of saying, this is not because of what is expected of me, and this is not because of something, a rules or expectation that someone else put on me. This is from me. This is from inside of me. And there's something that happens when we allow that to take place. And then I love that you equated it also in the business world, that this art, this creativity, this having something that comes as an idea, as a thought, and becomes manifest into reality is required for business, for anything that we do.
But it's completely separated. We have completely compartmentalized it as something else. You know, it's expected from you. Now, if you are expected to know accounting, you have to learn accounting, right? But you're not expected to do art. See, in my world, everybody would need to do art, not only because of the business, but because of the human being, because art always brings you in a beingness. It is there's no spiritual discipline in the world that gets you more in the moment than creating art. Not creating art for something that is defined. So, not like we're creating art for a religious window. We're creating for creating's sake. That's what creativity or art, that's the difference between art and creativity. Creativity is you use that interconnection that you have with your inside, with God, with the matrix, with whatever. You connect that to something tangible, a system or something. Art it has no preconceived notion. It has, like you said it's so beautiful. I love how you said it all. It's really, it has no end, no beginning, and there's an inner voice, and there's not a logic. See, this is difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's an inner knowing when you're done. And the artists that think too much, they never know when it's done. Because they say, no, it's not done, because they're aligned to the systems. Yeah, it's not done, it's not done. But that's an inner knowing when you're done. And that's and the purity, you see, we need to go to the purity. It's almost like an accountant needs to go to the purity of math, of figures, right? The purity of creativity is art, and it has no expectations. Zero. Humans put the expectation onto art, and they define art, but everything is art. I mean, you tell me if your kids come and they give you a paper plate with fingerprints on it, and say, love you, mommy. And you come to tears in your being, in your human beingness, the connection of your kids or grandkids. And right next to, I'm showing you a painting of Rembrandt, but you don't even know what it is. Let's say you don't know what it is. You would say, this is a brown drawing, ugly old man. And so it's something, because art was never defined by artists. It's something that is completely ignored. It's only looked at through the business side. What is an artist? And then you look at all the paintings that are famous, and that's art. No, art is anything. Art is like, now I said, start whistling or do whatever, They said, look at this. This is art, we can just, they're not defined. And it's just an expression of you. Because if you would do this, it would be different than I do it. It's your uniqueness. It pulls you always to uniqueness. It brings you into human beings. And that's why I think it's mandatory that every human being should do art. Whatever he likes, play an instrument, just you never forget your beingness. And today, especially in this time where everything is system, there's no time more for human potential anymore.
Wow. Yes. And the words that you use, and I'm still trying to be able to wrap my head around your use of the word art. And to me, it is reversed from my understanding of that creativity, pulling something out, pulling that beingness. And I loved how you talked about, for you, that creation process is divine. It
absolutely.
Makes you feel, yeah, it is a spiritual, enlightening experience for you, as you've been able to find that way that you are able to connect with your inner self and to be able to bring that out, and that process of creating and art. And I think it is absolutely beautiful. So there are a lot of people who feel like they are not creative. They do not have that ability. Why do you think we stifle that?
The system says you always need the education, you need the this. So it gets us to human doings. And usually you will see people that are spontaneous, more feminine, they have no problem with just picking up a paintbrush or a musical instrument or a drum or something. But the people that are very they're super in systems. they're system navigators. They know what website to go to, what to do, whom to hire. But they are usually the separate because they're so conditioned by systems that they say, hey, it worked for me. I'm making money. I'm successful. They know how to navigate it. So they say that's something foreign to them, that there's no limitation. There's nothing they can guide themselves. Because in art, there's nothing to guide it other than here's a piece of paper, write a poem, music, here's a tape recorder, hum in a music, do whatever you want to express. And that's, people want a template. They need a template. They don't want to come up with their own. And by that, they're away from themselves. See, the best system navigators are the most away because they're not happy. You know that. There's people, billionaires and whatever. Not everybody. I'm saying there's exceptions. But tell me, we have found out extensively that when you be perfect in the system, you do everything the system says. You have the kids, get to college, have the wealthy husband, you have a career, blah, blah, blah. And we ask the people when they die, and they said, I wish I would have been more with the people. It's always people, it's always humans. They want to be more. They never say, I wish I would have done another $1 million. I wish I would have built that church. They never say that. They say, I wish I would have spent more time with my animals. I wish I would have. So nature and humans, is that before you die? That's the enlightenment, thing. And you can look up anything on the thing. What did people miss the most before they died? The wealthiest and the poorest, and it's all about humanity. And that's what creating art does to you. It brings you in a non-structural world. It's not structured. What PC now tries to do is get us to be with rules. Now we have to get another system to tell people how to be humans. And you cannot be a human through a system. You know what I mean? You can't. I cannot take, because I said, when you do everything that you do and you're not happy, what does the system say? Any system, what does it say? It's your fault. So it's anyway your fault. So if you're if you're a system navigator, perfect system navigator, or you are the worst in systems, it's in the end, it's your fault if you're not succeeding. If you're succeeding, I think it's just you're a good navigator. You have a good knack for navigating. But is it the all-round experience? I don't know.
That is very interesting. So as I'm listening, I'm hearing some common themes about your idea of what is successful. And I think when it comes down to it, I love the explanation that when we are near the end of our life, when we look back and say, this is what I wish I had done, and this is what, I'm happy with. And the things that people typically wish that they had done is that they had maybe taken more chances and tried more things. The things that matter are our relationships and our experiences. And for you, this process of art, this process helps to bring those things into fruition so that you feel successful. And I think part of success is having that feeling of fulfillment. And as you mentioned, sometimes in the systems, even when we reach what other people might say are those measurements of success, like how much money I have, or how many followers I have, or what kind of house I live in, or what kind of car I drive, these sorts of things don't necessarily bring fulfillment. And that surprises a lot of people because they think if I can check those boxes, then I will feel fulfilled, and then I will feel happy. And I believe that happiness and fulfillment come from the inside out. And it sounds like as you're describing this process and art and what it means to you, that is that same kind of thing where it's that happiness, that feeling of fulfillment, the value, the self-worth, all of these things come from the inside out. and that we don't need to seek them from an outside source. We don't even require outside validation because we know within ourselves it is good enough. And I think that matters so much, that there are people who wonder, am I enough? Am I good enough? And the answer is yes. And you were always good enough. But we have to find it from the inside out and not from the outside in. Well, Michaell, thank you so much for this wonderful visit today and for your great perceptions of how to create that beautiful joy and that happiness from within. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Linda.
In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Maya Angelou. She said, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have." Today, I invite you to use your creativity and your art to help discover yourself. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of Linda's Corner, please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. I also invite you to check out my nonprofit, Hope for Healing, at the website hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free ebooks and other free resources to help increase happiness, build confidence and self-esteem, strengthen relationships, manage stress, and calm feelings of depression and anxiety. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, or Amazon bestseller, You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.